put this together. I want you to watch this, see if we got this right when it comes to the information that says there's 8,000 planes hit by birds every year.
It happens more often than you may think.
Obviously, birds can take aircraft down, and they have. This isn't the first time.
According to the FAA, birds collide with planes at least 8,000 times a year, costing the industry some $600 million. When it happens, it can be terrifying. This video posted online shows a small plane taking a direct hit. And in this one, a jet flying through a flock. Both those planes landed safely, but sometimes the results are deadly. One group that studies bird strikes says over the past 20 years, 200 people have been killed and 200 aircraft destroyed.
Engines are particularly vulnerable in the fact that, that you can shut down the power source. Particularly of interest is when you hit large birds and you hit more than one.
The FAA requires that engines be able to withstand the impact of a bird weighing 4 pounds. But 36 species of birds weigh more than 4 pounds. Experts say engines could be made more resistant, but they'd be heavier and inefficient. And that means more fuel and more money.
The key is to try to manage the risk in such a way that we reduce the probability of hitting large and large flocking birds.
But bigger planes mean bigger targets. And in many cases, bird populations are growing too, which means a pilot and flight crew is likely the best line of defense.
It's really more a matter of training to deal with the in-flight emergency once that happens.
As for managing the risk, there's only so much you can do. We're talking about birds here, and nobody really can stop a flock from flying by an airport. What is clear is it is common for a bird to hit a plane. But deadly accidents are rare, and 2 or more birds bringing down both engines, incredibly uncommon. Now, pilots are often trained to deal with a single engine failure, but double engine failure, minimal training, because it so rarely happens. Alina Cho, CNN, New York.
All right, let's turn to Ron Merritt now. You are hired by airports to go in there and tell them what they could possibly do about their bird problems. What can you do?
Well, there's a number of things. Habitat management around airports can reduce the number of birds moving in and around the airport. So,
how do you do that? How do you, by habitat, you mean get rid of the thing which is attracting the birds?
Birds are like teenagers. They want 3 things. They want a place to eat, a place to hang out, and a place to breed. So you basically eliminate those type of attractions from around the airport, loafing areas, feeding areas, etc., nesting areas, and you can reduce the number of birds that will use the area.
Well, what do you do about LaGuardia? LaGuardia is in an area that's kind of swampy. In fact, it's a little bit of a marsh there, so it attracts those birds, the waterfowl. You can't move the airport. Can you move the marsh?
Neither one. In fact, we historically made really bad decisions about where we place airports. Historically, we put them where land was cheap and land was flat, which was typically wetland areas and things like that.
So this could happen again?
Oh, yeah, it could. And probably will, over time.
But wait a minute. Look, if the water's not there, if the Hudson's not there, this plane crashes into the ground.
Exactly.
And everyone dies.
Most likely, yeah.
Well,
I think what it is now, we get down to managing risk, and everybody keeps thinking, well, this is an act of nature. Well, weather's nature, and we still manage to deal with the weather as well. And part of the technology that's available now is being able to find where these birds are in the atmosphere using radar, see when big flocks are moving across a traffic pattern, and then provide advisories and or cancel or hold that flight until the flocks move by.
The same thing they do with wind shear, but do it with birds.
Exactly.
You know what's interesting? Look at this comment we got from Country Gal here. She's watching us right now, and she says, in our area, wildlife people move in to airports using guns with loads that make a lot of strange noises. And she says, no birds here. And here's another one. Let me see if I can get to this one. This one says, can't we outfit the planes with engine screens or covers due to airflow issues? So when birds get smacked, they'd be knocked off the screen and not into the engines?
Well, there's 2 points here. The first one about the guns that make funny noises. Those are pyrotechnic pistols that make a screaming noise.
Or sirens.
Sirens. Just acoustic sound that harasses birds. And that works pretty well. It's sort of like, again, running teenagers off a parking lot. If you go out there and harass them, they'll go away.
But then they'll come back.
They'll come back.
So what about putting a screen on the engines? Is that possible?
Well, there's 2 reasons we've investigated that over the last 20, 30 years. One is you have to have a very smooth laminar flow of air into a compressor to make a jet engine function. So that would create turbulence in the compressor. And the second thing is, with a screen in front of the engine, if the bird hits the screen, it's going to drive the screen into the engine as well. So now we're chewing up birds' bones, feathers, animal
yeah.
screen. So
And actually, it'll be more apt to more. So really, this is a problem you can only manage, but you can't stop.
you can't stop it. You're going to have to manage the risk the best way you can. And again, there's technology that's going to be available and is available using radar systems to track birds around the airport. It's just getting it implemented at commercial airports.
I never would have known that there was such a thing as a bird strike expert until I met Ron Merritt.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate that. Great information, by the way.
This pilot, and if this guy doesn't get the recognition he needs, is the reason my daughter, my 2.5-year-old, has a dad.